Nearly every gym is going to have a 45-degree hyperextension machine. Here's how I like to prescribe progressions for people who are having lower back pain, or if they want to build a more resilient, tolerant, and stronger lower back. Set the machine up to where the pads are roughly at the height of your hip bones or just a little bit below. The first progression is going to be a static isometric hold. So once you get in the machine and your front of your thighs are supported on the pads, hold this position for however long amount of time. I like to give this as a range between 10 to 45 seconds and progressing as long as up to 2 minutes if someone's symptoms are controlled. The next progression I like to move to after someone can do an isometric hold without increasing symptoms are single leg isometrics. So when you're in the machine and your feet are against the rollers, put one foot over top of the roller, and this causes you to work one side of your leg, and try to think about not rotating and keeping your chest parallel to the ground, and work each leg in an isometric hold until you can do that without symptoms increasing. The next progression after single leg is starting to load the isometric hold with weight. So I like to do this with a dumbbell or a plate. And once you're in the machine and set up and you feel ready, hold the weight at the level of your chest for the prescribed amount of time. And then move on to the dynamic range of motion with tempo. Let's think about keeping our lower back relatively motionless and rigid and hinging at the hips for whatever tempo is prescribed. I usually like to start with a 2-second lowering or eccentric, a 1-second pause at the lowest range of motion, and a 2-second concentric. The progression from there will be increasing the tempo back to a more normalized 1-1-1 tempo. One of the final progressions will be starting to load the dynamic movement. So you can start with that by holding the weight directly below you and performing the movement with whatever tempo is prescribed. The next progression will be holding the weight at the level of your chest, performing for the tempo. And the most difficult, hardest progression will be holding the weight behind your head for the prescribed tempo. So if you want to start improving your lower back pain symptoms and building a stronger lower back, start with the isometric holds and work through these progressions as your symptoms allow. A good rule of thumb is if you're able to perform the first level of progression without any symptoms you're having, getting above a subjective 3 or 4 out of 10, it might be time to progress to the next progression and start to build from there.